Guys, today I really wanted to talk about a topic that hardly anybody speaks about, but that I find to be very interesting. It's like one of those hidden secrets of the world. And I really want to talk about why the British, really stemming from the British Empire, but why the British culture is one of the three supercultures of the world and will be part of the future. And I really consider it to be a superculture. I know that okay, I live in South Africa and there's a dark past of colonialism, just like the rest of Africa. But that's not what this video is about. There are plenty of videos about that. What I want to talk about is some of the mechanisms that I find to be very, very durable and long lasting, and that you can, if you really look hard enough, you can like practically see with your own eyes. And what really makes the British culture, with all its flaws, one of the three super cultures, in my opinion, is number one, Anglicanism. Anglicanism. Anglicanism, to me, besides being a religion, as a religion, I really don't know much about Anglicanism, but I know that here in South Africa, most of the people were Anglican, and a lot of the African people, even even a lot from the places where my family comes from, they're mostly Anglican. And to me, it's not really like a religion, but more of like a technology of human organization. But what I find interesting about this technology is that, to me, what Anglicanism does is that it it merges two human technologies or human organizational technologies, and one of them is tradition. Okay, so the Anglican people are very traditional. Okay, so and in part of those traditions, they still keep some of the Roman traditions from the Roman Catholic Church and the rituals and stuff like that. And then the other thing that they also managed to do is was also move with the Protestant Revolution and with the ideas that the Protestants have, like really engaging with the Bible. Some of you call it like Bible supremacy, but they really engage with the scriptures. So those two things to me really transformed British culture. It's this tradition and it's this engagement with the Bible. So it has the benefits of a Roman Catholic world and it has the benefits of the purely Protestant world. Okay, it's a long debate about whether Anglicanism is Protestant or not. So to me, it's sort of a Protestant quantum state, or it really doesn't like depends on whether you look at it, or not. Sometimes it's Protestant, sometimes it's not, but really speaks to they were really able to understand where the future was going at the time and what they had to inherit from the past. And a strong thing that I think that it benefits from the tradition, which is a lot of the rituals and the Roman tradition, Roman Catholic Church tradition is it has the benefits of the Catholic world and it also has the benefits of the Protestant world. There's a lot of benefits in the Catholic world historically, the Roman Catholic world. Let me say that. And there's also a lot of benefits to the Protestant world. Okay, the Roman Catholic history and tradition it keeps it in touch with the Roman, like the actual Roman Empire, the traditions and the roots of the Roman Empire, in my opinion. Now, this is people really like they like nowadays. I think we look at religion as just like one part of civic life, but I understand that in the past, people like religion was part of the state. Separation of church and state is very important to the Western world, but for a long time, and in part of the world, and from the times of Mesopotamia, it was even from the times of Mesopotamia, it was really one thing. It like the state emanated from religion. You know, I think it's similar with the Romans as well. Okay, so they have this Roman tradition, which is gives it a nice solid foundation and an anchor into the past. So when I look at this Roman Catholic aspects, because the Church of England separated from the Roman Catholic Church, but to me, what it does is that it gives it it gives the Anglican world a nice, or what was the once the Anglican world. It gives it a nice solid anchoring and a foundation in history and in the past. It really does that for this technology. To me, it's just a technology, but to a lot of you, it's a religion, and it's a religion that really benefits it, in my opinion, in the country that I live in. And that was a long time ago, but now we live in another world, and more technology is needed, more advanced technology is needed for that world, for this world. So this Roman tradition really, this Roman Catholic roots really anchors it in the past, but this the engagements with the Bible, and starting to read the Bible the way the Protestants did, really gives it an edge into the future, or vision into the future, because a lot of the Bible is just about what's going to happen in the future, and a lot of literacy. Okay. So the Bible engagement opens up new ideas, and it also creates higher literacy, in the mass population. So as people start engaging with the Bible, they are open to all these new ideas that they get. You know, I was watching a documentary about how Isaac Newton really engaged with the Bible. And one day I need to do a video about that, about how what about how high level genius is not just only scientific. It's also very historical. But anyway, the real geniuses, they really look at the past. They step deep into the past. But I'll get into that in another day. Okay, so you have these two things, an anchor into the past, and this tradition of the Roman world, which to me really acts like a filter for the ancient world. Okay, um, so the main results for me that made the British or the English world, or the civilization, the super civilization, the main technology, the main result for me was that the English became master city builders. That's really the main thing for me. If you see the other video that I have, I speak a lot about cities and roads. I feel like the city is really mm, what gives countries that stability. That's the best organizational level. Okay, so these cities and towns form stable stable economies and stable countries. So that's one of the things that I noticed, is that if you have these guys, are such one of these guys are one of the three top builders of cities. They can build this stability into a city. And if you have stable cities, you have stable countries. And we can list some of the great cities that are that the English or the Anglican world or the British world had. You know, so some and these like look at countries such as, maybe like, look at Australia, look at New Zealand. You can look at Canada, and maybe South Africa, maybe once. I'm not really sure where South Africa is now, but it was also one of those English cities, like especially Cape Town and Durban. Okay, and then you can and look at, especially at the USA. Like the USA is this experiment on steroids. Okay, we often forget that the USA was really part of this British Empire, or what I want to call this Anglican world, or sometimes we call it the Anglo-American world. But this Anglican world, maybe I'll call it that for now, because that's what they were. And we forget that they were Anglican before the independence. And if you look at a lot of the people who signed the independence, a lot of them were the Declaration of Independence in the USA. A lot of them were Anglicans. Okay, so the town and sitting building in the USA was just on a gigantic scale. Now they had all this open territory. It's another debate about how they got this open territory, but now they had all this open territory, and they could just build these towns and cities on this mass scale. But that's, to me, like something like Boston. It's not really different to Cape Town. It's not really different to Sydney in Australia. You know. or Toronto in Canada, it's not really different. It's the same technology, in a way. And now they just had in the USA, they just had this massive land. So the foundations were laid by Anglicans, and obviously the settlers came first, and then the church followed them. I'm assuming that things happen. It would be good to look into that, but I'm assuming that the order of things happened the way it did here in South Africa, because here in South Africa, first the settlers came in, the British settlers came in here in Durban, which is something that I'm very familiar with. So I'm using that as a starting point. It's just an observation because I'm a very practical person. I don't really like the, my approach to science is just like an engineering based approach, which is I look at the results, and I look at the physical, tangible manifestation of an idea more than the idea, which is just the way I was wired to think. So I'm looking at this technology and I'm saying, okay, the settlers come in first, and then these Anglican institutions follow. Okay, so here in Durban, the settlers came in first, and then those institutions came in after. Okay, so so basically, you have the strong towns because the cities are strong, and the cities become uh, strong due to this traditional Anglican town building, which is at the heart of English civilization, in my opinion. It's what really made it successful. Okay, so for a practical example, I'd like to take St. Paul's Anglican Church in Durban. Okay, in Durban, there's St. Paul's Anglican Church. It was the first official Anglican church, and it was established not far from where the settlers were. Today, there's a city hall there. Okay, so the church and the area around it, if you look at it, long after the British Empire ended, and a lot of the English people don't really go down there anymore. But it's really like the CBD downtown of Durban, Okay, if I and it was the foundation stone was laid in 1849. That's when the foundation stone was laid for this for this Anglican church. Okay, and the interesting thing is opposite the church. If you look opposite the church, what you'll find is that the old city hall stands there. And between the city hall and the church, what you have is a marketplace. It was called Market Square. And that's really the technology. You have a church on one side, you have the market in the center, and on either side, what do you have? You have, and on the opposite side, you have the city hall, the first city hall. And this really becomes like the nucleus that everything starts to form around. It's like a center of gravity, and and this is really a technology, you know. So opposite the church, you have the city hall, and in the settler times, there was a market there, and the whole city really evolved around that central node, that central nucleus, Now, if you look around and you look at the history of a lot of these British colonies or these British cities, you'll find that structure a lot, and it wasn't the British by any means that started it. The Greeks also have, it's very similar to the Roman Forum, and it's very similar to the Greek Agora. But here, what I'm saying is that these guys, and now maybe they'll just put it under town planning, but it's ancient town planning. It's tapping into the traditions of the ancient world. Okay, this isn't far from one of the earliest settlements that the British settlements that are here in Durban. Okay, to me, this shows a glimpse into what really is the magic here. Okay, a lot of these churches became schools. Okay, a lot of these churches became schools, and thereby we have some of the most important institutions already built in. So this literacy thing really branches out into becoming schools. The churches have these Bible study classes, and even so today, you can go and go into that church. and you can have your own meetings. There's little clubs that run there, completely secular clubs. But one of the things that comes out of there are these Anglican schools, and I think I need to do another video about these English traditional schools, and how they are also one of the technologies that really let the British become one of the top three super civilizations, in my opinion, that will lead the world, lead into the be part of the future. Okay, so on the other side, you have the city hall and all these government institutions will start to radiate from out of that. So, and in the middle, you have this markets, and all the commercial and economic activity will start to spark from there. And these markets are not just that simple. They're simple markets, but right across, you can literally walk to the harbor from these markets. So this market is internationally linked, So it's very powerful. Okay, so a lot of these, yeah. So the Protestant nature also goes about increasing literature, okay, and even till today, you have some of the old English schools, or Saint Michael's or Saint. There's so many of them, Saint Michael's or Saint Paul's or Saint. So many saint schools that you find all over the place, and these are still some of the best schools in the country. Okay, so therefore, this is the fuel really that sparks this thing. And the interesting thing about this old city hall is that Churchill once gave a speech from there. There's a stone that says there's a bit of a carving that says a plaque that says that Churchill gave a speech from here after after he was released from the after he left the Bura camps. Okay, so Churchill gave a speech from there, and sadly, like this post office is like in ruins now. It's really quite bad, and it's quite a bad state. Yeah, but it's quite a historical thing, and on the steps it says there, and most people that walk past don't even know who Churchill is and don't even care who Churchill is. Okay, so this sets up what maybe would be called this like trinity of civic war of civic life. You have your church, you have your state, and you have your markets. And everything builds up around there. It's so symbolic that the whole city builds up around there, and all these institutions. A lot of institutions can literally be grouped into those three things. There are others, but most of them can be grouped into those three things. So other factors to consider, but to me, this is a glaring parallel to the Roman Forum. Okay, so we can look at other factors that contribute. A lot of you will say it's English law, property rights, but that's in there. That's in the city hall. The legal system will stem from there. The laws will be passed there. Okay, but I'm not really sure. I don't like really talking about abstract stuff like that. I'm talking about the concrete thing that you can see and you can mirror it to the past, like really directly. Okay, so what I'd like to conclude by saying is that this is just really one of the things, but to me, as somebody who works in engineering for quite a while, I like to just look at the practical thing. I like to look at the effect, and work back from the effects, the results, the tangible results. And even so today, the place is still busy. It's not it's not more it's not the only thing that drives traffic, but it's like really still a nucleus. And people that come from rural areas, they mostly just normally come towards that area. There's different markets, there's different institutions that have been built around that, but they're really still coming to that central node. And I find it fascinating, and it's not the only one. Some of the other technologies or super civilizations are also still driving the life of that city. And the real guys with all the capital, they don't really go to the downtown that much. They form this new city that's nice and shiny, but it doesn't really have the life that or that sense of gravity. It's not really the center of gravity. They try as much as they can to make it a center of gravity, It's just really well invested in. But the sense of gravity is still that downtown place for just the normal, just the normal people, and it, and I find that to be fascinating. And to me, that's really at the core of what made the British Empire so large, or what made this British civilization or this English civilization one of the three super civilizations. And the reason why I'm speaking so much about civilization is that is because of something in physics, which really speaks about civilization and energy, about the Kardashev scale, which I'd love to get into on another day. But it's really what's driving everything. Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye.